Welcome to the Circle Path podcast. My name is Adam Skaggs, and I'm here with my beautiful wife, Alicia.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going.
Oh, it's going. Yeah, we're doing things. We're doing things. It smells good in here, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
I don't know if it's you or the candle thing you got going on over there.
Well, I did take a bath. So...
Oh, well, that's always awesome.
Well, like clean. So I kind of had like a Jersey Mike's
You had that
onion BO smell going on. So
that's the perfect oniony
yeah.
goodness smell.
I mean, if I'm gonna smell like anything, Jersey Mike's way all day.
That's pretty.
I mean,
disgustingly gross. On to other non-disgusting topics.
Bread.
Do you want to give us an update on your resolutions?
Oh.
Because everyone wants to know.
Everybody wants
Everyone
to know.
on the Twitters wants to know how your resolutions are going.
Are you still Chungus? Turns out I am.
Well, it turns out you made a milestone this week, right?
Right. So I got on the scale a couple days ago, and it said 199.8, and I got really excited. And then I got on it again, and then it said 200, and then I got pissed off.
So have you got...
And then it never went back to 199, and I was about to chuck it through the window. Just saying.
So have you gone back and checked?
Okay, so I have.
Okay.
And
are you in the one club yet?
I'm
for real.
I think for real I am.
Okay.
I think, but so I grabbed my phone and I went to go take a picture, and then that took me over the 200, and I was like, son of a bitch.
I could have taken a picture for you.
No.
Oh, okay.
The only way I make it in the 100 is like totally derobed.
Oh. Oh. Well, let's move on from this subject.
Just saying. But I did make it.
Awesome. So,
I mean, and then I heard about, you were telling me that you were speaking with somebody about intermittent fasting.
Yeah, so we've met one of our Twitter followers a couple days ago, and her name is Ingrid. Shout out to Ingrid and Sasquatch Journey. She had some cool tips for you, with some intermittent fasting stuff.
So I started looking at that, and so if you do that, you basically eat between like a 6 or an 8 hour period, and it seems like you do that whenever whatever time you want to choose. So I was kind of thinking about that, like, how would I make that work if I did that? Which I could probably make that work if I started eating like mid-morning, like maybe fast for a couple hours after I wake up, and then start eating probably around 10, eat lunch, eat dinner, come home, make dinner for the kids.
So a normal day.
So a normal day. And then basically stop right after that.
Okay, so no snacking or anything.
So like maybe 10 to 6. Eat between 10 and 6.
So Ingrid was saying that you should go from 6 in the morning to 12 in the afternoon. And that way you get everything done early in the day, and you just water fast the rest of the day. I don't know. It will be hard, but I think you could do it. So
I think I could do it. I think it would just be really hard to do it because I have 3 kids that are eating crap, and it's like
you can do it.
I'm cooking, and it smells really good. I don't know.
You can do it.
But I'm looking into it, and I appreciate the shout out and the tips, and I am looking into it. So it's definitely something to consider. So we'll see. I don't know.
Cool. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about the Djinn and what they are, or what lore says they are, and kind of what we think they might be and how they're related to the phenomenon. So, Djinn, the word Djinn is Arabic and means unseen or hidden, and was given by Middle Eastern. The name was given by Middle Eastern mythology, and that's what they're called in the Quran, which is the Islamic holy book.
Okay, so how's that spelled?
Some spell it Djinn,
Okay.
and I've seen spellings of Jinn as
Okay.
well. But basically, it means the word jinn could be used to identify any non-physical being that exists in another reality. However, in the case that we're speaking about, it's believed to be a particular type of entity that exists between the multiverse of matter and energy. So,
Explain that.
So it exists between the physical and the energetic plane, I guess. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but in the sense of what makes up matter, it's in between. So take that for what you want. I don't know.
So what do you mean by that? Like,
so it's a state of matter like plasma, right? So,
okay, so yeah, because you and I were talking about this.
Yeah.
So not a solid, not a liquid.
But a plasma-like substance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I think of plasma, I think of like a blood component because I'm in the health care.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I instantly go to, or I think of like Slimer, like plasma.
That's what I think of when I
Right.
think of a plasma entity. It's Slimer is the first thing that comes in my head.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's interesting in the fact that they can exist both here and wherever they exist in a plane close to ours, but not quite the physical plane.
Okay.
And they could come and go. As we go on, I'll kind of explain it a little bit more. So, essentially, according to Islamic scholars, the jinn could take any form of any animal or human that they choose, right? So that means that they can come in and out, take human form, or be a dog or something like that, right?
So you're saying when they come into our realm, they can be whatever?
Yes.
Or are you saying that they come in as their plasma-like form and then they shapeshift into something else?
Yes. They are a shape-shifting entity.
Okay.
And they could take the form of anything, but if they're not taking a form and they come in, let's say we always use the analogy, somebody's, you're sleeping in your bed and you see something in the middle of the night staring at you. That could be them, right? That could be the jinn.
Okay.
Yeah, so they could shapeshift, and there's a lot of stories of them doing this, and we'll get to that here in a bit. So when they take physical form, they're much more vulnerable, and so for this reason, they usually don't take physical form for very long, according to the stories. But will shapeshift. They'll shapeshift into hideous-looking things sometimes if they don't want you to be anywhere near them. So, like some of the hideous things that people see. I see a demon with horns and all this type of shit. That could be a jinn, right?
Okay.
So, thought that was pretty interesting.
Could a Bigfoot be a jinn?
That's another interesting thing because,
or any of those other cryptids, could that be a jinn?
that's a good call out because, I've been thinking a lot about that, and no one no one has been able to capture any kind of cryptid, right?
Right.
Well, for instance, I was watching Connie Williams. Shout out to Connie Williams from Blue Rock TV. They were on a Bigfoot investigation in Kentucky last night, the night before. What's the date today? Saturday the 18th. So Friday, it would be Friday the 17th. They were on the investigation, and they were getting all kinds of K2 hits and EMF spikes and all these things in the middle of the woods, where they're seeing silhouettes of what they think are Bigfoot.
Right.
If these are physical beings, why are they putting off EM and causing K2 hits? Unless there's something else, right? An apparition, some kind of other type of entity.
So when you were watching this, they could actually see these, and then they were getting these hits?
So they saw silhouettes of the Bigfoot, but they never saw... They can make out the features, but they saw a big, huge silhouette.
Right. Okay.
So...
Could that be that they are near a portal?
I don't know. I mean...
And then that's why they were getting...
That may be
all of those hits?
That may be. So the Djinn are known to come in and out of known places throughout the Middle East.
Okay, so where was this taking place at? This was in Kentucky.
This was in Kentucky. I can't tell you the place. It was like Hell's Gate or something. I think they called it Hell's Gate.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with the area there, but if any of you guys are, let us know, because I'd be interested to know why they were getting K2 hits. Mm-hmm. If Bigfoot is just a primate. That's
right. I mean, you're out in the middle of the woods, so you don't have any electric going on. You don't have any kind... I mean, there's something there.
Yeah, there's no reason for that to have happened. Right. So, anyway, according to Islamic lore and the Quran, Djinn existed on this planet long before humans. And they're mentioned in over 30 verses in the Quran. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody that's listening that is of the Islamic faith. I don't want to say anything wrong here. But the idea of Djinn predates Islam. And ancient Persians believed in something similar, and they called it the Jinni or the Jinni, which were evil spirits of both genders and lived in an invisible world and interacted with humans in different ways. They brought pleasures like fine food and gold, but also death and disease as well. So, genies, what we think of in the Western world, are not, the blue dudes that bring you all the nice stuff, the Aladdin type shit. Like when I think of a djinn or genie, I think of he's going to bring me all this cool shit. But apparently it brings death and disease as well. So he brings a little of this, a little of that, a little take some death and disease on the way.
All right.
So, yeah. So get the idea of the blue Aladdin out of your the blue genie out of your head. So, okay. So 3,000 years ago, inscriptions were discovered in northwest Arabia, indicating worship of Djinn-like beings called Jinneh, or the rewarding gods, also known as the gods of pleasure and pain. Most of the legends say that the gods could be benevolent, but then suddenly, without warning, cause turn malevolent. So, if they don't like you, you're up shit creek, right? So, like, they could bring you stuff,
So, okay, So you're saying that they're a plasma-like form.
Yes.
Okay, but
they could
So are they interacting with humans?
So
So they're taking the shape of a human? Is that what you're saying?
they can, or they're so in the creation stories, they have in the Islamic creation story, humans were made after angels. So angels were made first, which had no free will. Then the jinn were made, and the jinn were given free will, but they were much more powerful, and they were made of the substance called the smokeless fire, which has been kind of translated into the idea of plasma. Like modern research says that's probably what the substance was, if these things are legit, right?
Okay.
And then they lived for a long time on the planet, right? And they had dominion over everything. And then
Why is it that happened? Well,
so
why?
so that was his first creation with free will.
So God.
Yeah, God created angels.
Yes.
And then he created the jinn, which have free will. Free will to do whatever they want, and gave them dominion over the earth. So they were living on the planet. They built up great cities. They lived for a long time. They could do a lot more than humans could do.
Okay.
And then at some point God got really pissed off and said, I'm going to create another being, and you guys are going to prostrate yourselves to the humans, because we're going to try this again, right? So, as part of that, the angels did it, but the jinn did not. Some of the jinn did not, right? So, they had one of the jinn, one of the head jinn. His name was Iblis, and he said no, right? So this is sounding very, very familiar, right? So in the Christian tradition, it's the same. Lucifer did the same thing, but he was an angel. There wasn't a separation between angels and jinn. Mm-hmm. They were one and the same.
Right.
But in the Islamic faith, there's three different types of entities, right?
Okay.
So they didn't
three being
the jinn, the angels, and humans.
Okay.
But they didn't bow down to the humans. And so God cast them out. And Iblis convinced God, supposedly, to allow him and his horde to come and go, and convince him by the end of time that humans were no better than they were, essentially, so that they can get the earth back, right? So according to the Quran, there were no fallen angels, right? So, but Iblis was very, very, very similar in the sense that he had the similar story to Lucifer, and his power was almost equal to the angels. He was the leader of the jinn, and he felt like he was superior to humans, right? Mm-hmm. So, he in some early Islamic accounts, Iblis was once a powerful angel named Azazel. That might sound familiar to some people that are listening. Meaning God strengthens, and this angel may have originally been the Semitic god of shepherds' flocks, who became demonized as the Abrahamic religions flourished, right? So he was referred to the demon of the desert. Coincidentally, the desert is also considered to be Iblis's home when God permits him to enter the world. So he can come and go, but that's his dominion, essentially. So in the apocryphal story of the apocalypse of Abraham, Azazel is mentioned as the angel of disgrace, lies, evil, wrath, and trials. He's also the Lord of Hell, and was confined to earth by God because he had become enamored with it, right? So, all these things are kind of lining up here, and I guess. Well, we'll get more into it here, but per Islamic belief, evil exists due to corrupt humans and jinn who have turned their backs on God. The demons, fairies, ghosts, demonic possession, and even alien sightings are believed to be the work of the jinn. Or in some cases, spiritually corrupt humans who have joined Iblis, right? So, if you've ever seen, like, Blade, right? The movie Blade. There's these humans that are, like, in the movie, they call them familiars, right? Familiars are the people that help the vampires, right?
Okay.
So, there's humans that are helping the jinn do what they want to do, right? Influence humans in a certain kind of way or whatever.
Wouldn't this be like a devil worshiper or something like
yeah,
that?
something like that. Yeah, it could be compared to that, or I mean, yes, that's how I would go with it.
Okay.
Essentially, they're not going to present their true identity to us. They take on many different disguises, right? So my first thought when I read this was all of these reptilian sightings, right? People look at these, look at people, right? And they'll start getting the scaly eyes, or they'll get the yellow eyes with the skinny slits in them or whatever, like there's YouTube videos and all kind of shit out there about that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, very interesting. Maybe might be the cause for the reptilian stuff that people were seeing. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
It's like the snake component to the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be...
Who knows?
Could be that. So, I mean, I guess the question after that is, what do you think? Do they live amongst humans, right? Like, people say that they see them. I mean, over in the Middle East.
Okay.
Everyone says that they've seen them, they've interacted with them. There's whole villages that are off limits to people because they believe that jinn inhabit them. There's this cave called Majlis. Let me make sure I'm saying this right.
Okay.
Majlis al-Jinn, and it's the 8th largest cave in the world, and it's in Oman on the Selma Plateau, and what it means is the meeting place of the jinn, right? So I guess that's where that's a huge entry point into our plane, right there in that cave, and no one will go there. So
because it's known.
It's a known jinn hotspot.
What about the people that enjoy the challenge? They want to go. They want to see.
I don't think
what happens.
Well, I mean, Westerners have gone there,
right?
So I'll tell you a story. So in the Vengeful Djinn, there's a book by Rosemary, Ellen Guiley, and Philip Brogno, I think his name is. Used some of their material for research for this episode, but one of the stories was when he went to the Middle East, he was researching something completely different, and he kept hearing about the jinn. He had never heard of the jinn until he got over there, but people kept saying the jinn, the jinn, the jinn.
And when was this?
This was the 90s.
The 90s, okay.
And maybe early 90s, I want to say.
Okay.
And when he was over there, he met like he was former military. He went and his friend was over there working for the Saudi Arabian government as some kind of mercenary bodyguard or something like that. And he had met with he got invited to a party, right? It was a party for the prince's son, I think it was, or something like that. And the prince's son didn't show up. However, his cousin showed up and was going to be attending to the duties of, because they do things way different over there, right? So they always have someone from the family represent the family there, right? So you're not to talk to them, you're not to look at them unless they address you, that whole thing.
Right.
So he was sitting there at the table and he started talking about how he was investigating the Djinn when the cousin started talking to him. And this cousin started talking about how they were letting the U.S. and a bunch of other people come into the country to look for these Djinn that had come into our physical plane, right? So they were cooperating with the United States government, some other stuff. I don't know how true that is, but that was in the book, right? In addition to that, after this party, he was told of this cave in Oman, this Majlis Al Jinn, and he said, I have to go there. So he gets there, and he was there with two people that were Middle Eastern, and they would not go in this cave. They wouldn't even get 50 feet within this cave, or from within this cave, right? And this cave is humongous. This hole is huge, and it's like 300-foot drop down.
I was gonna say, paint the picture of the cave. So we're talking like the cave goes.
It's a
down
dead,
or are we talking? It's kind of a mountainous cave.
It's a dead drop into this cave.
Okay.
And it's like a 300-foot drop.
So you're just walking, boom.
Yeah,
cave.
it's there. It's a huge. It's like you imagine a huge sinkhole.
Got it.
And to get down in there, you have to rappel down into it.
Okay.
So it's like a 300-foot drop. So they help him set up his gear, and he goes down. He starts to go down into this cave, and he's rappelling down this cave. And he looks up and asks the other dudes, like, "Are you coming, or am I gonna have to go do this myself?" There's no way they were gonna come, right? So they said, "Hell, F, and no, we're not coming." So he's like, "All right, well, I'll just go down the cave myself." So he starts going down this, rappelling down. He gets about 75 feet down into the cave, and the smoke starts enveloping him, and he starts hearing Arabic words being spoken to him from the smoke. And like he didn't understand Arabic, so he kept like wondering where the hell is this? What the hell does this mean? You know?
Right.
So the smoke ultimately starts speaking English to him, saying, "Get out, get out," like a smoke. Like there was no physical being there. It was like a smoke.
This was an audible,
like I'm talking to you right now. And remember, the Quran says the smokeless fire, right? So the smoke was enveloping him, saying, "Get out." The two dudes up at the top of the cave heard this and saw the smoke enveloping him and took off, right? So they take off, and he's freaking out, of course. So he's running up, or he's trying to get up this rope as fast as he can, and I would be freaking out probably, trying to get up this rope.
You're with these two dudes. They leave you.
Yeah,
You're around this smoke. You're down in a hole.
Yes. Yeah. So the dude's freaking out. He finally gets up there, and they're already in the car, a little bit down the road here, and they stop so he can get back in the car. And they're freaking out. We saw the Djinn. We heard it. We didn't think it was real, but it's real. Blah 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 blah.
So if you see the Djinn, are you cursed?
No, at least I don't think so.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of stories of people interacting with them. Even stories of possession, right? So
because they could be good, right? Did you say that the Djinn could provide goods to you as well as negatives?
So they could be.
So why are there towns created for them if...
No, not created for them. They take over, right? So they take over.
So the towns are created by people.
Yes.
And then the Djinn come in, and then these people leave because...
No, they live amongst them. Like whoever's there lives amongst them.
Okay, I'm sorry. I guess I don't understand because I thought you said that there are towns that have just Djinn in them.
Well, I mean, not just Djinn, right? So they've got people that still live there, but outsiders coming to these towns, they know that the Djinn are there, so they don't like to go to these towns, essentially.
Oh, okay.
Sorry if I didn't make that clear. Yeah.
Okay, so he gets back to the story. So he gets into the car. The people are with him. They say, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah. And they take off.
That's the Djinn.
Yeah.
They leave. Does he come back?
No, he does not go back to there. They will not take him back.
So he can't come back by himself.
No, you have to be escorted. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, because it was in such a remote part of Oman. You know, he had government escort the whole night.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's a little story, a little tidbit.
So did he ever see it again?
Not from my knowledge.
From what you've read. Okay.
Yeah. So, I guess a little bit more about the Christian side of this. You know, how they relate to demons, I guess. King Solomon of the Bible. He built a temple. He was everyone knows the story of King Solomon, right, in the Bible. And he built the temple, and God had given him this ring, essentially, and says that you have absolute power to command and control everything in your domain. That includes spirits, that includes animals, humans, whatever, right? So he forced the Djinn into slave labor. into slave labor to build the first temple of Jerusalem and the entire city of Jerusalem as well. And sent them into war to fight against men and Djinn controlled by other men, and used them to impress the Queen of Sheba, who is rumored to be a Djinn herself. So sorry, I've got a cold. I got some coughing going on.
He's hacking
away. So they were.
Why don't you take a drink?
Yeah, I should do that. Why don't you talk for a minute?
Oh my gosh. He's looking at me all red-faced right now. Can't breathe. Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm dying over here. You're just looking at me like I'm not gonna talk. I'm gonna let him talk and choke to death and hack to death. Okay.
You doing okay over there?
Now that I could properly breathe, and I'm all sweaty and red-faced, like she said.
Oh boy.
I don't even know where I was. Okay.
Queen of Sheba.
Queen of Sheba, yes, that's where I was. She was actually Queen of Sheba. Funny you mention her. She was rumored to be half Djinn herself.
Oh shit! She just walked in the room.
Did you just see a Djinn? We saw a Djinn.
Oh fuck!
I am not a Djinn.
So anyway, yeah. So Solomon's construction of the first temple of Jerusalem was on the place where Cain and Abel actually argued over the division of earth, right? So that's a pretty significant place. And it's also a place where God sent Archangel Michael to Solomon with the ring, right? So he sent him with a ring to the spot so that he can have dominion, right? Which really kind of pissed them off, right? So that's understandable that they're pissed off about that, right? The Djinn were all enslaved, made to do all these different things until Solomon died. So take that for what it's worth. I don't know. They have reason to be pissed off. I would be pissed off if I was made a slave. So, yeah. So I guess we'll talk about another story if you guys are, or if you're up for it.
Yeah, I want to hear a story.
Let me get another drink though. Why don't you talk for a minute?
I'm playing with this hair on my chin.
That is disgusting. That is gross.
Oh. I found a hair on my chin.
People that are listening have seriously turned off at this moment. They said, what in the literal fuck am I listening to and spending my time listening to?
Oh.
Okay.
I'm one sexy bitch.
So now, okay. So let's get back to it.
Okay.
No one wants to hear about hairs on chins and shit. Okay, so the Djinn story that I have for you happened at the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center, otherwise known as 29 Palms in California. Okay, so mind you, this is a huge compound, and it's located in San Bernardino County, which is like an enormous. It's a city within a city, right? You are really distracting me with this. Like, okay, I'm gonna paint the picture for everyone here. I'm sitting here across from her, looking at her pick off
I can't.
a hair off of her chin. It's the grossest shit I've ever seen.
I can feel it. I feel something there. I can't get it.
Okay, all right. Anyway.
I have my wrinkle cream on.
Oh my god.
And it's making my face oily.
I apologize to all of our listeners.
It takes a lot of effort to look like this.
Oh my god. Oh my god. You're talking to a fat, gray-bearded asshole over here that doesn't do anything for that. So, okay. So I'm gonna read this to you.
Okay.
Okay. So this is directly from the Vengeful Djinn, or not from the Vengeful Djinn. This is from another resource. This was called "The World of the Unseen." This is stories about the Djinn, their possessions, and their appearances. So this is from a Marine. He said he wrote, to put things in perspective as to how far we are from civilization, the closest man-made object is a 3-hour ride away. This day was particularly hot, so we all spent all day hiding under camouflage netting, getting classes about various military tactics. Once the sun set, we set off into the night to get some realistic training done. The sky is absolutely cluttered with stars. I can see a shooting star every few seconds. Finally, after roaming around aimlessly for what felt like forever, we head back and were granted a few hours of sleep. I lay down and start to drift off. Then I'm suddenly woken up for watch duty, after which felt like 10 minutes, and I get up instantly. I get dressed and I stand my post dutifully like I'm told to at the checkpoint, which is a checkpoint in the middle of nowhere of this desert, right? So I'm given a radio and I'm told to only lift the barbed wire after it gets approved over the radio. So it's maybe around 2 a.m. and everyone else is in my company is dead asleep except for myself and an officer in the comm truck. All I can hear are coyotes. I decide to start looking at the stars with my night vision goggles, and I hear a coyote yelp off in the distance. I think nothing of it. A few moments later, another Marine comes over a small hill in front of me. Nothing crazy, probably out to answer the call of nature, whatever. He walks towards me, but his eyes don't really reflect the light. Which is bizarre, right?
Very.
Yeah. So rationally, one of us is probably dehydrated, so I think nothing of it. He approaches me, and after a few seconds of staring at me, he simply says, "Can I come in?" His voice didn't sound right, and there was no inflection or questioning tone, which was very weird. I asked him what his name was and why he was out so far, and he tells me his name, and his name was Sergeant Wright. And then he ignores the second part of my question. Same weird voice. Granted, I'm new to the unit, so I don't know everyone named Sergeant Wright, but I still had to verify it. So I radioed in. Main, this is Radio Guard 1. Main, this is Radio Guard 1. There is a Sergeant Wright requesting entry. Over the radio, I get a response from the soldier at the comm truck. Radio Guard 1, this is Main. There is no Sergeant Wright in this company, and the closest unit to you is 25 miles away. Get the F back here right now. Don't let him in, or don't even look at him. Run. As the weird guy started to hear this, his face changed to severely angry, like he wanted to rip my throat out and drink my blood. By the time I got back, everyone is awake, all of the vehicle lights are turned on, and everyone is packing up, scrambling into the trucks. We leave and drive the entire 3 hours back. I never got an explanation from anyone, but my squad leader, who was a simple backwoods kind of guy, bluntly said to me that whatever I saw wasn't asking to get through the gate. So there's your story.
Interesting. Why did I instantly go to, like, an alien?
Some kind of alien, or yeah, it could have been. This is one of the stories in that book, though, so I guess you can spin it however you want as far as the phenomenon goes. But
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I had a few questions after I read this, and I thought, okay, was he trying to enter the compound to just injure that specific Marine, or just enter the compound just to be on the compound?
But why ask?
Yeah, why ask? Why is it? Yeah, it kind of had like a vampire feel to it, or something. You know?
Right.
Like, why can't he just come in?
Well, it's kind of like you said with the genie thing. So, like, once you ask for a wish, you get that, or you kind of get that feeling. So I don't know. It's like them asking that question. If that person says yes, you can come in, then maybe that means yes, you can take over.
Take over what?
I don't know.
So I guess that's another question, right? Was he asking to possess the Marine, or was he asking just for entry into the base?
I don't know. I just find it interesting that he would ask the question. Like, why ask the question? There's something to that. So if we're saying that this is Djinn, if that's the question we're proposing, is this Djinn? Do Djinn have to ask to take possession?
So that's a good question, because as part of the demonic the demonic possessions, right? Stories he goes, I'm not an expert on this, but I know that there's infestation, and then there's like harassment, like not like harassment. I don't know what the actual term is, but it's where the demons are probing you, right? They're getting to the point where they can help you and do all these things for you, but it's like The Exorcist, right? So it's like slow, gradual process, and then there's full on demonic possession, right? You have to let them in.
Well, it's like an oppression.
Oppression, that's the word. Yeah.
And then it's like, so you're oppressed. You have depression.
But I think oppression is the word before full blown possession.
Yes.
So that's a good question, because if the guy's saying, can I come in, is that direct line to possession?
Interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think it was a Djinn? Do you think that the Djinn are at the root of a lot of what people are experiencing?
I don't know.
I mean, because they can shapeshift. Let's go back and let's think. So they can shapeshift. They can go in and out of visible spectrums, right? They could be anything that they want, and they could possess humans. What are they? Are they? To me, it's plausible. Right, it's plausible that they're at the root of at least some of the phenomena, right? That people are saying the cryptids. Maybe that's a good question, because I hadn't even thought of that, but it's a good question. So, I think a lot of the shadow people phenomena, a lot of the apparitions maybe people are seeing, might be related to the Djinn phenomena. Right?
So, I mean, my question is Djinn one of the same as a demon? Because depending on religion, I mean,
depending on what your ideological view is,
you're calling one Djinn, but is it a demon as well? Like, are they the same? Because if they're the same, then are we saying that a demon is also these other things? Which I don't know if that's true.
I agree with you. I don't think that's the case either. I would tend to err on the side of the Islamic ideology in that sense, right? So 3 different beings: angels, jinn, and humans, not just angels and humans. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, because if you look at it, like, angels didn't have free will, right?
And you said that the Djinn, excuse me. So you said that the Djinn were here and they were slaves, basically, right?
They were enslaved by King Solomon, yes.
Okay. So we know that they are hard workers. And, I mean, this could go back to, like, the ancient alien type.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So maybe
that could explain some. I mean, so, you know, if they kind of come in and out of planes, maybe that. I don't know. I'm not sure.
So
I just went to the alien thing. Went straight to the ancient aliens. I don't know.
De facto standard in this house, right? Ancient aliens, right?
It's like on TV all the time.
Yeah. Everything's aliens, bro. Don't you know?
I don't know.
Yeah, so
Is it an alien?
That's a good point, right? So a lot of people think that aliens helped build the pyramids or do all these different things. So how would they? First of all, were the pyramids relics of the Djinn being here? Who knows? I don't know.
I don't know.
But they say that we built the pyramids, obviously, but I mean, here's the thought. Okay, so there's Djinn magic, and you could command the Djinn, just like Solomon did, but it's very dangerous. Could it be that the powerful priests that were employing magic in those times used the Djinn for these purposes, just like you were saying, right? So that's a good thought. I don't know.
Djinn magic. Tell me about that.
So I don't know that much about it,
Okay.
honestly, but I know that it's kind of like the Goetic 72 demons type thing, where you can set up these entire rituals to call in and invoke or evoke these Djinn for different purposes, right? So different purposes to do your bidding or whatever, so it's very possible. Just
So
throwing it
you're
out
saying
there.
so you can summon them, and then when they're here,
Summon them for different tasks, yes, and you can
so
evoke them
for positive for yourself.
or negative to somebody else, whatever.
Right.
I mean, that's why it's so dangerous. And if you don't bind them
But
right,
I was gonna say they can turn on you, right?
yeah. I mean, if you go back to the lore says that they could bring reward, but they can also bring death and disease.
Exactly.
Right.
So you've summoned them. They're gonna flip the script.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of how that works, but I know that it's there. I know there's a lot of people out there doing this. So I don't know how it works, but it's some pretty crazy shit.
So you got to bind them to get rid of them.
Well, I think you have to bind them so that they don't rip your face off or whatever, like.
So you summon them and then bind them?
I think you have to. That's part of the evocation process, I think. So when they evoke,
people that are doing this and are sloppy, basically.
yeah, if you don't take all the proper precautionary steps, you don't do all these different things, you could be screwed, right? I think so. If any of you know how that works, let us know, because I'd be interested to know. I've saw a lot of stuff out on the internet about that, but I'm definitely not an expert by any means. So I guess another question would be, thinking back to the prince's son's cousin talking about the government having knowledge of these beings. Do you think that that's an actual thing, or do you think that's complete BS?
I don't know.
So, I don't know. I think it's plausible, right? People say, people say that we have interactions with aliens.
Right. I mean, and the government knows about that.
Yeah.
Right? Probably got aliens down bases that we don't even know about. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
so, I mean, why not?
Yeah. I guess that's...
Because, listen, to me, the Djinn is an alien.
Well, I mean, if you think of it that way, an ultra-terrestrial, right? So an
There you go.
ultra-terrestrial coming in and out of portals or, different dimensions or whatever like that.
So, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, I guess that's about it for the Djinn, right? So, I mean, you have any other thoughts about the Djinn that you wanna talk about?
No.
Maybe we'll mention more. Maybe I'll research a little bit more into the evocation part of it, and we'll talk about it next week. But
I'd be interested.
yeah, I'd be interested. If you guys know anything or have any good resources, let us know. So I guess that's it for this week. So make sure you guys go out to the Twitter, because we're getting a lot of good feedback and a lot of good engagement on our Twitter. We are at the Circle Path.
The Circle Path.
The Circle Path. Make sure you friend us or follow us. Friend us and follow. It's so like I never know which one. Facebook is friend. Twitter is follow. Follow us there.
Follow us.
Yes.
By following your friending.
Yeah, sorta. Yeah, follow us.
That means you're our friend if you follow us.
Yes, we love followers.
We love friends.
We love friends. Because we don't have any in real life.
No.
Because she picks hair off of her chin. And
listen,
I'm a
my
fat
friends
beard.
like that I pick hair off my chin.
I'm sure all the women listening are probably know exactly
Listen,
what
I'm
you're
not a
talking about.
hairy beast, okay?
Yes, I know.
I can like sprout a hair. Like, it's not like I have a mustache.
You've seen her picture. She doesn't have a mustache.
That you see because I take care of it.
There you
You're
go.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, we're available at thecirclepath.com. We have all of our episodes there as well. And we're available on every single major podcast platform now. I think the last one we just got added to was the iHeartRadio stuff. So, yeah, that was just like a couple days ago.
Spicy.
I thought so.
Like that burp you just did.
So, and last but not least, we're available at thecirclepath@gmail.com for any direct messages or emails that you want to send us.
Yeah, we've been talking about that would be kind of cool if we could like have people call in and tell stories and
Or just email your stories to us.
email us.
Yeah, I mean, we would love to talk about them on the show.
We could call you. We could become friends.
You could be a real life follower.
We'll have real friends.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we're available at thecirclepath.com. Follow us on Twitter at thecirclepath and circlepath@gmail.com. Just in case you didn't hear, we are the Circle Path at gmail.com.
Wow.
How many times have I said it?
Gosh, you're so extra.
Yeah. What is this whole extra thing? Like, I have no idea what the hell that even means. Anyway, for another time.
Okay, love you. See you. Bye.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Bye.